just when you think things can't get any more weird, Jeff Berwick, Dollar Vigilante, and I'm going to post the YouTube video link so you can watch part 1 and part 2 of this disturbing satanic ritual being performed for 6 hours, right in plain sight, to, for the opening ceremony of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland. So I just watched the first part. People being like slaves and sexual sacrifices or something, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. What the hell? What in the hell are these people doing, these elitists? What in the hell are they doing? The most recent example of this was the opening ceremony of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland. It has been described as a dark, disturbing, weirdly satanic ritual that celebrated the achievement of Gotthard. You can see more of the video here, which I'll link. The tunnel is now the world's longest and most expensive, one driven directly through the Swiss Alps over 17 years. It is to be seen as yet another symbol of European unification and the power of such unified countries. The ceremony itself took place in front of European dignitaries, including Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany, President Francis Hollande of France, and Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. With such guests attending, there can be no doubt that formal elements of the EU and its leaders subscribe to a belief structure, or at least tolerate one, that has nothing to do with normal Christianity. The ceremony was created by German German director Volker Hesse, and featured a man in a goat costume presiding over an equally weird series of events portrayed by strangely costumed dancers and others. The tale of the tunnel's construction was presented within the context of seemingly satanic references and went on, including other events, for an entire 6 hours. Humans were regularly symbolized as being in bondage. During the building of the tunnel, a few workers died in this scene, and apparently were lovingly remembered by showing them as being hung during the ritual. This went on for hours as an all-seeing eye was set up outside, as people dressed like poverty-stricken slaves marched out and entered into sexual acts. And all of this for the grand opening of a tunnel? Whatever happened to a ribbon-cutting ceremony? Or, you know what? Since it's so huge, let's treat it like it's a giant ship. Anyone got a bottle of champagne or something? We'll just smash it over the front, like they do at the bow of a ship, christen it, boom. Nah, we're going to have a satanic ritual instead. Appreciate the concern, though. We've seen increased efforts in introducing satanic elements into the West lately. For instance, earlier this year, there were plans to build reproductions of the giant 48-foot tall arch that stood in front of the Temple of Baal in Palmyra, Syria. These reproductions were to be erected in Times Square in New York City and Trafalgar Square in London during April, but it didn't happen after a lot of alternative media outrage. Notice how it's alternative media outrage, not Fox News, CNN outrage, MSNBC outrage. No. Instead, other structures were erected that were not nearly so inflammatory. Now, on the 16th of July, there are plans to perform an introductory satanic ritual that will create a 5-pointed star, also known as a pentagram, around the city of Lancaster. These sort of ritualistic activities are not entirely removed from mainstream society. CNN and other media facilities announced Hillary Clinton had become the Democratic nominee on June 6, 2016. So June is the 6th month, the 6th day, 16, which he's saying, technically there's a 666 in there. In other words, the most recent Bilderberg meeting took place just after and appeared to host this bizarre 6-hour satanic ritual beforehand, and the closing ceremonies seem to have accompanied the Orlando shooting. These are dark days. Just look at these public and increasingly satanic rituals. There is no doubt that in Jubilee 2016, additional terrible events are being planned along the lines of the Paris massacres and larger organized warfare, especially in the Middle East. I wouldn't be surprised if significant market chaos takes place as well before Jubilee 2016 is done. Keeping in mind, remember the whole Shemitah cycle and all that, and the 7 years, but then 7 times 7, so 7 of those is 49. The 49th year is like the big Jubilee thing, whatever. And it started, what was it, September, whatever it was, I don't even know the exact date, last year, 2015, September something. And then ends pretty much the same time this year, so about a year later, right? What are the chances that all this stuff's happening right now, and it's happening for a reason? Again, the club. These are the same people that set up everything last year. And I do recall saying myself, these little shootings and all these things that you've seen happening, expect them to get worse. I did say that. Expect more of these, more frequently and worse, as we move forward. And you can see immediately after this shooting in Orlando, gun control everywhere. I'm going to do a filibuster until I have the whole Congress's attention because we've got to do some meaningful gun control. Whenever anyone says that, for any reason, like, oh yeah, people should have guns, it doesn't matter what your reasoning is, you can always get them back easily by saying, hold on a second, you do remember when our country was founded, approximately 240 years ago, well, at least the Declaration of Independence and whatnot, but how did they get the country? Because the King of England was not wanting them to separate and create their own country, so he sent over his warships and his troops to deal with us. By the way, were those warships and troops unarmed? Did those troops not have guns? Absolutely they did. So how do you deal with a tyrannical government? You have to have what they have. Now, naturally, we don't have jets and bombs and all these things that the government has, but the government would never be able to use those types of weapons on its people locally, because you can't say, well, we accidentally dropped a bomb, a missile misfired and hit this group that was protesting, and not going to happen. You would enrage the whole population and you'd be finished. So they have to keep it back to the old school ways, gun versus gun. So the argument is simple. We would not have our country. You wouldn't have these so-called freedoms and so-called democracy, at least what's left of it at this point in the game. You wouldn't be able to have this American lifestyle, live the American dream, if it wasn't for guns in the possession of the people fighting a tyrannical government. So for anyone to just say, for any reason, guns should be taken away, people should not have guns in this country. And then you could finish that by saying, and by the way, there have been several countries over the past 200-300 years, maybe a little bit longer actually, that did such a thing. Took away the guns, the muskets, whatever it was. They took the guns from the people. And in every single instance of that happening, shortly thereafter, the country was ruled by dictatorship and it became a tyrant. He was a tyrant, so you're living under tyranny. That is what happens when you take the guns away from the people. And if you want to even ridiculous, maybe you need to come back with a ridiculous answer. That ridiculous answer is, which I'll do this live just so I have the exact number. How many people die from heart disease every year? About 610,000 people die of heart disease in the United States every year. That's actually 1 in every 4 deaths. 50 people die in a nightclub here. 10, 15, 20 over in Chicago, right? You add all this up every day, every week, every month, and every year. In other words, what deaths that only occur by shooting. And I don't care if it's accidental, the police had to shoot somebody, there's a bad guy, they're robbing a bank, a terrorist came in. Any and all shootings, I'll take them all. Shooting deaths, period. How many are there per year? Well, we just looked at heart disease. 610,000 people die of heart disease. Are they banning fast food? Are they banning the enormous amounts of sugar in everything, which is causing this problem, by the way, or affects it? Amongst other things, making our entire population sick. Seems like this is more dangerous to our society than people with guns, or even crazy people with guns, or extremists with guns. So how many people die from guns each year? Annual average, 11,184. So 11,184 die each year. Almost 21,000 die from suicide each year. So I'm gonna filibuster till we have meaningful gun control. Excuse me, sir, Congressman Bozo. Only 11,000 people on average die every year from gunshots. Guns, period. Twice that number die from themselves, suicide, killing themselves. Sounds like we have a problem that's twice as bad as your gun control problem. We need to deal with the suicides. And more importantly, neither of them, even combined and doubled and quadrupled, don't account for the 610,000 people who die from heart disease every year. So as you can see, and by the way, if you cured the problem of that, which is the poisonous crap we call food these days, if you fix that one problem, the FDA just came down with a massive rule change for everybody, all the food vendors, cutting the sugar out and all these chemicals, you got to take that out, right? Just blanket change. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden the food's much healthier. The side effect benefits would be unbelievable, because now the health problem of our country that's going down the tubes, people are sick out of control, will start going the other way. Healthier people, less hospital visits, less insurance claims, health insurance claims, which equals less insurance fees for you and I. There's a whole slew of things. So do we worry about 10 or 11,000 people dying every year? Or do we worry about 610,000 people dying every year because of the foods we eat? That could easily be changed. And furthermore, of those 11,000 annual average shooting deaths, I got a better statistic for you. How much of that is due to terrorism? Because again, we got to take your bullcrap emotions out of this, and let's just do the numbers. How many people die from terrorist attacks in the U.S. each year? Is there a stat for this? Is there a stat for this? Oh, global research. The terrorism statistics every American needs to hear. Oh. Is it here? Calm down. You are more likely to be killed by boring, mundane things than terrorism. There were just 25 U.S. non-combatant fatalities from terrorism worldwide from 2010. The U.S. government definition of terrorism excludes attacks on U.S. military personnel. While we don't have the figures at hand, undoubtedly more American citizens die overseas from traffic accidents or intestinal illnesses than from terrorism. March 2011, number of American civilians who died worldwide in terrorist attacks last year, 8. Minimum number who died after being struck by lightning, 29. There you have it. See how statistics can play a role? And you go into Facebook right now, and the gun control and this and that, and oh my God, these poor gay guys, people, the guns, terror. Calm your sorry, uninformed, ignorant asses down. Why? Because I just gave you the statistics. Take your sissy emotions out of it and just do the numbers. If 25 people died, again, from whatever year that was, from terrorist events, how could you possibly justify any kind of response, even at all, when 610,000 are dying from heart disease? Right? This is absurd. This is why it just shows you why these globalists are hell-bent on getting the guns from the people. They'll do anything and show you anything to scare the living shit out of you so that you'll comply. And then you have these certain people out there who just see another gun shooting. They need to do something about these damn guns. Excuse me again, sir. Hey, I hate to be a thorn in your side. Did the gun actually grow legs and a brain and walk over there and kill somebody by itself? No, it didn't. A human being had to pick it up, load it, cock it, and shoot it. There's a few steps involved, and had to drive over there, had to get out of the car, walk it. Right? He had it on his mind. It is so easy to build a bomb of any kind with just household items. He could have wrapped it in something, whatever it was, freaking Tupperware. Walked in the thing, set a fuse or something, whatever. Even electronic remote control stuff. It's so easy to get anything like that these days. And the damage could have been even more severe than it was. And then what are you going to do? I'm gonna filibuster tonight because we need meaningful Tupperware control. We need meaningful Tupperware control. I'm going to filibuster. I need someone to back me up on this one. They want your guns because they know the big collapse is coming. When those congressmen and women had that secret meeting, remember that, 2008 or 9? Closed doors, no one ever knew what was said in there. Makes you wonder if they knew they were going to paper over everything this one last time and all hell would break loose with the economy and the world economy when they had to let it go in years coming, which is where we're coming to now, getting real close to it. And they knew then, we have got to get the guns out of the people's hands because what we are about to do to them, what we are responsible for doing to them that they don't know in the future we're going to do to them, they're going to effing kill us. We've got to get the guns out of their hands by any and all means. So, aside from that little side rant on gun control, it does kind of tie into this satanic ritual crap. They can't have the slaves figuring things out and then getting revenge. So, I'd like you to see this video. I'm going to link it. It is kind of disturbing. Just all in all, what the hell is this? It's an opening of a freaking tunnel. Jesus Christ. Take care.